Hello, Gearspace. My name is Luke, and I'm a developer at GForce Software, and I'm here to demo our new TVS Pro plugin, which we developed in collaboration with Oberheim, Tom Oberheim himself, and the wider team there. So yeah, let's jump in. So for those who maybe are unfamiliar with this kind of range of plugins that we've been doing, yeah, we've released an 8-voice, the single SEM on its own, and now most recently this TVS Pro plugin. So yeah, the plugin itself is based on the original Oberheim 2-voice, which was it was actually the first full-fledged synth that Tom Oberheim released after the standalone SEM and the Maestro effects that he worked on before that. And yeah, I mean, the core of this instrument really is this kind of 2-voice architecture, as the name suggests, and it's combined with a sequencer. So actually the original 2-voice had just an 8-step sequencer with unquantized pitch. Then in 2015, 2018, Tom revisited it and developed the TVS Pro, where he introduced this 16-step sequencer with quantized pitch and a couple of more modulation options as well. So yeah, so I guess, like I said, at the core of this plugin is our Oberheim SEM that we've developed. And yeah, there's really two aspects to this, I guess. The front panel is, yeah, what you would come to expect really from an Oberheim SEM. So it's 2 oscillators, a filter, 2 envelopes, an LFO, and yeah, you can sync the second oscillator to the first. The filter obviously is the Oberheim SEM filter, so it's got sweepable between low pass, high pass, and notch, and it can also be switched into bandpass mode. Then on the rear, this is kind of where we've extended the SEM really, and yeah, we've added a couple of things. So we've added a third oscillator, which can be switched into LFO mode, can be synced as well. Sorry, the LFO can be synced to the tempo, not synced to the main oscillator. We've also added a selection of LFO shapes, filter tracking, aftertouch modulation, and then also some velocity modulation too. And this really was to kind of reintroduce some of the modulation that you would have had through the patch points on the original synth. So yeah, I guess at its core, as I said, you've got these 2 SEMs, and really, in my opinion, the beauty in this instrument is kind of in this limitation really of a 2-voice geophonic synth. Once you start to combine this with the sequencers, again, on the original there was just a single sequencer, but we've added 2 separate sequencers, dual sequencer, I guess, which you'll be able to see better on this view here. So depending on how you route these sequences to the SEMs, or using the keyboard to sequence the SEMs, that's really all decided down here by this this screen, I guess, this window. And essentially what we've done is we've created a number of keyboard mode presets, and this is, yeah, essentially just, you know, all the different routings that you would have had on the original, and in that way, I guess, yeah, it's how you interact with the synth. So we split this up into 3 groups: the key mode, which is kind of more centered around maybe your typical players kind of style of interaction. Sequences obviously are sequences, and then mixed is kind of a combination of keyboard and sequences together. So yeah, I guess apart from that, you've also got our effects section on the right. So we have a phaser with changeable stages, rate, depth, and mix, a stereo delay, and a lush reverb that, again, for people who have used our other Oberheim products, will probably recognize. Apart from that, then, yeah, we've also just got a section over here where we can do things like add portamento to the SEMs. You can offset the portamento on the second VCO for each SEM. You can add vibrato. This is a global vibrato, or again per SEM. And then you've just got some, I guess, kind of tuning controls that you can use to detune the SEMs, both off themselves and also against each other. And also introduce this kind of like vintage variation to things like the envelopes, the filter cutoff. Yeah, add a bit of that vintage spice, I guess. Yeah, going back to the kind of main view, we've also added in these edit modes, which again might be familiar to those who've used our 8-voice plugin. And yeah, really there's a group mode and an offset mode. Group mode kind of, again, takes pairs of controls and moves them together. Offset allows you to sort of maintain the distance and the relationship between the two stems, so that you can, I guess if you've set the stems up separately, you can almost achieve this kind of like global, global alteration of those controls. So yeah, I think probably the best way to, like walk through the plugin is to go about designing a patch with it. And as I said before, I think really, for me, the beauty of this setup is that it's limited in quite a unique way. So yeah, and we felt it was very important to kind of maintain those limitations. So I guess thinking about, one limitation of a duophonic synth is chords, right? I guess with 2 voices, it's hard to really play anything more than a 2-voice chord. But obviously, because of the way we've set this up, you've got, 6 tunable VCOs, 6 separately tunable VCOs. So again, dialing in this, let's start dialing in a major 7th chord on our stems separately. So on the first one, I've just tuned VCO2 to the 4th. Sorry, let's get that back. On the second, I'm tuning it to a 7th, and then on the next, the 11th note in the scale. Then if we change our keyboard mode to unison, now we can play major 7th chords on a single note. Beyond that then, I would say for the purpose of this patch, I'm going to switch, actually, because I'm going to do this on both stems, I'm going to switch us into bandpass mode, and I'm going to just decrease the filter frequency a bit, increase the resonance. You'll see why I'm about to do that in a second. Actually, sorry, the other thing I forgot to do too is increase the volume of VCO2 on both stems, and so now we're playing a major 7th. So, in order to kind of get this patch moving, let's bring the sequencers into it, right? So, setting up just like a simple unison sequence, where our sequence is going to trigger both stems separately once we start playing with it. Great, now we've got our sequence A is unison sequencing both stems. Again, because this is like kind of a skeuomorphic setup, we added in some controls as well, just to make manipulating these sequences a bit easier. So I don't actually have a second hand to do this at the moment, but we can do command click to change all knobs in the row at once. It just makes things like making global changes easier. But yeah, I guess to that end, we've also added in these kind of random buttons to allow you to just kind of like throw in a bit of a random sequence and see what happens. So here I'm gonna randomize the gates of this first sequence, and we'll get a kind of a kind of unique rhythm. Maybe let's stick with that. That's nice. Next, I'm gonna add again a random change to all of the velocity knobs in this row. We don't hear any difference because we haven't applied our velocity modulation to our stems yet. So again, let's go into group mode, and let's do something like send the velocity to the cutoff. So we'll start to hear this bandpass filter pick out harmonics in this 7th chord. Maybe let's bring it down a bit as well. Cool. Again, I'd say now that we've got our chord kind of I guess bouncing through the harmonics, let's add in the delay and start to hear this kind of like this modulation take place over time, be spread into the stereo fields. Dial that in a bit. Maybe bring in our reverb as well. Nice. Cool. And then I guess let's take this a step further as well, where we can bring the second sequencer into it and start to sequence both stems differently. separately and with a different set of gates and velocities, and in that sense kind of have both halves of the chord happening, I guess being triggered separately. So now we've got both sequences running. Sequence B is being sent to SEM2, as we can see. Sequence A is being sent to SEM1. Again, let's add in some random changes to the gates of the sequence B to add a bit more rhythm into the second SEM. And again, same with the velocity. So now we've got them running alongside each other. We can do things as well, like change the number of steps on our sequence B. So we'll have this kind of sliding sequence, I guess, for each SEM, and all of a sudden you get this kind of ever-evolving patch, really, that you're never, well, at some point those sequences will resolve again, but you kind of have different filter cutoffs, different gate lengths playing off each other, and you get this sequence that just runs, and well, I can listen to that forever. I guess beyond that too, in terms of kind of performing with this, a good option then is to maybe, you know, start messing with this velocity modulation to the cutoff. So as we kind of bring it down, we'll begin to hear the cutoff being modulated less. So these coronas on our knobs are used to kind of indicate how much modulation, what range of modulation is being applied by the velocity. So as we bring it up again, we'll hear things start to kind of step out. We can add more modulation in, so we could have it too, so that as the increased velocity value opens up the filter, maybe we'll also have it decrease the resonance. So we'll get sort of more spiky lows and more smooth highs. Cool. And again, all of this is possible. We're still just playing, you know, a root C note, something super simple, you know. And it's, I think, when it comes to these SEMs, it's all about just taking that really round, beautiful, warm sound and just doing something simple with it, you know. And I think, I guess, like I said before, the beauty of this quite unique setup is that it takes you to places that you probably just wouldn't go with other plugins. So I guess moving on from that too, let's have a look at maybe some of our presets as well, just to give you an idea of something else. So yeah, like I said, as I've shown you some kind of like dual sequencer movement there. I guess maybe I should pick something that I can play with one hand here again. I guess like a sequence and pad situation. So again, loading this preset, we can look at the keyboard preset and have an idea of, okay, what's actually going to happen when we press a key here. So we can see at the moment, our keyboard is being sent to SEM1, which will be our kind of lead sound in this case. And our second, our keyboard will also be sent to sequencer A, which is triggering sequence 2. So it means now we're going to have this kind of like lead and, or in this case, I think it was a pad and a sequence preset. And of course, that'll react to our keyboard, you know. So we can play it now. Totally. Otherwise, like I said, we've tried to, the plugin comes with our kind of most recent iteration of the patch browser. So there's, I think, over 635 presets in total with this, 400 of which are converted from our SEM plugin. So you've got all of those beautiful patches from the standalone SEM plugin that we do. And then we've also added 235 more, which have been made specifically for the TVS. So there's just a whole world of sounds there ready to play with, to use in your productions, your sound design, whatever. Otherwise, I guess other things I'd point you towards too is, just like, I don't know, I think that's probably maybe everything. I think that probably is everything actually. But so I think, Thanks for coming along and talking to us. Oh, actually, I should say, excuse me, sorry, the pricing. So at the moment, the TVS Pro plugin is on sale, so it's 50% off. In the UK, the full price is £66, excluding VAT, and it's $79.99 in the US, roughly. At the moment, it's 50% off, so it's £33 or roughly 40 or $38 in the US, excluding VAT. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.